Hello, everybody. This short video is about the Middle English lyric, I have a young sister. A riddle. When does a dove have no bones? Answer. When it's a Dove McNugget. Well, that's one answer anyway. Old English folk loved riddles. Riddles are one of the major genres of Old English writing. The Middle English lyric, I have a young sister, originates from this tradition. It is likely that the four riddles that make up the bulk of this poem are much older than the poem itself, and they continue, I think, to this day to achieve the unique aesthetic pleasure of a riddle, which is always to twist your expectations in a way that is both unforeseen and, in retrospect, if it is a good riddle, also kind of obvious. The riddle is meant to expand your mind by showing you your own mental blind spots and limitations, and in this sense, it is a kind of religious experience, a revelation that even the most humble things of the world are full of mystery and surprise that you usually don't see because you are trapped in your conventional assumptions. I have a young sister, far beyond the sea. Many are the keepsakes that she has sent to me. Some readers have said that the sister is really the poet's lover. It makes kind of a big difference in the whole tenor of the poem. If sister is really Middle English innuendo for lover, then the whole exchange is a coded statement to the poet about the state of their long distance relationship. This can be a fun way to read the poem, I guess. But I also like to think of the young sister as a biological sibling of the poet's, this impossibly wise young girl who is exempt from being a sexual object for the poet herself, and who is therefore able to dispense her mysterious wisdom without any entanglement with the poet's own sexual desire. This makes the young sister a kind of stand-in for the Virgin Mary, a divine font of transcendent wisdom. She sent me the cherry without any stone, and likewise the dove without any bone. Hmm, a cherry without a stone or a pit? Well, they hadn't genetically engineered seedless cherries back then, so that's not the answer. And a dove with no bones? I was just kidding about that Dove McNugget thing. That's not really a thing. She sent me the briar without any rind. She bade me love my lover without longing. Sure, who can imagine a briar with no rind? Crazy, right? But then suddenly the line of speculation comes close to home when it goes from talking about doves and cherries and briars to talking about the nature of love. As bizarre as it is to think of a dove with no bones, it's much more startling to think of a love that would not involve longing. The idea of being in love with a person without desiring to be with them. Here is where the sister equals lover people prick up their ears and suggest that maybe this young sister across the sea is suggesting that she is fine with loving the poet from afar. Maybe she loves him without any longing to go be with him. For the sister equals sister people, however, the question is more philosophical about the nature of love itself. Maybe a love that is beyond human or sexual desire, the kind of love represented by a figure like the Virgin Mary. You know, they call her the Virgin Mary for a reason. So then the poet asks the question that's on everybody's mind. How can any cherry be without a stone? How can any dove be without a bone? How can any briar be without a rind or skin? And how can one love without longing? And finally, the young sister reveals the solution. When the cherry was a flower, then it had no stone. When the dove was an egg, then it had no bone. Things are not just what they are in the mode that you typically think about them in. A cherry is not just a round red ball on a stem. It's a life process distended in time and that encompasses many other forms and stages that you intellectually know about, but that all tend to be eclipsed by your brain's insistence on thinking of a cherry as a red ball on a stem. Same with a dove. You have an image of the bird in your eidetic consciousness, but that image does not include the whole life cycle of the bird, the way all things in creation morph and change in time in a way that you know about and don't know about at the same time. When the briar was unborn, then it had no skin, rind, whatever. Well, and that's the same kind of thing with the cherry and the dove. And then finally, the climax of the poem. And when a maiden has her mate, she is without longing. The simple solution to how love can exist without longing is when the lover and the beloved are together, when they have each other. If the sister is really a lover, then maybe this is her way of saying that she's planning to come home and be with the poet. Or maybe it's her way of saying that she's found another lover. There are probably a lot of other possibilities that you could read into this. As a message from a Virgin Mary style sister/oracle, on the other hand, the riddle provides a happy ending, a vision of the lover and beloved together and in love, just like the poet in A Western Wind had been dreaming about. But in this fallen world, it may be hard for us to see this easy solution to the riddle because we are so accustomed to thinking of love as an aspiration or as a wish rather than as a reality. We didn't see the answer to the riddle because we are too broken-hearted to realize that love is not just a possibility, it also exists in the form of its fulfillment. This could be interpreted as a profound message for human beings, not only about the reality of love, but also a lesson to them about how their human brokenness keeps them from being able to see this reality until they get their mind blown by this cryptic pronouncement from beyond the sea.